Notre Dame and how Notre Dame is outsmarting everybody else because of the fact, and this is something that we're seeing all these shifts in these conferences, right? We've seen teams like California and Stanford going all the way to the ACC, which makes no sense because that stands for Atlantic Coast Conference, right? This is two teams that are schools that are sitting on the Pacific Coast, by the way. So we're seeing that. We're seeing SC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington. Now they're in the Big Ten. But independent is what Notre Dame is, and they've been independent for a heck of a long time. They're not in a conference. Well, they've got their own they got their own network with NBC. They've got contracts with them. But how about this one, Justin? And this one is really interesting for me. When you look at this team, and nobody else could do this, if you were in a conference, there's no way this could be accomplished. And that's why I wanted to just hit on this real quick. The Irish have 8 home games in a row. That just doesn't happen in college sports. Usually, Michigan's got to go to Ohio State. The next year, Ohio State comes to Michigan and blah, blah, blah. You might have 3 home games. You might even have up to 4. But I have never in my lifetime witnessed somebody in any part of college sports, college football specifically, having 8 games in a row at home. I mean, how do you do that? It's absolutely amazing. Plus, they've got their own TV network. Not so bad. It's a pretty good football team. They made a mistake, a big stumble against Northern Illinois, and that was early. Since then, they have been absolutely dominant. They're scoring 38 points a game. They're the number 12th ranked defense or offense that there is. Their defense has played really well. They're number 3 ranked in points allowed. So they're doing everything right. But I think that home field advantage is sort of something that people probably need to investigate into this thing and say, hey, this can't happen in the future. What do you think of something like this? Is it fair that because they're an independent and they've got their own network that follows them, is all of that fair, do you think, in today's college sports world?
Is it fair? Maybe not, but is it making them money and probably helping them play better? Yeah, that's probably the answer, right? They have a really, really big worldwide fan base too. Yeah. It's a crazy reach for a college team. Really, really interesting, and it's probably about all those brand deals and TV network deals that they've done. So, yeah, man, if I was doing 8 home games in a row, having all my friends, family, and all the others rooting for me every night, just crushing over and over again, I'd want to keep that momentum going too.
Yeah, I think everybody would want to. I don't really have a huge opinion on it. Things just happen, they happen or whatever, but it seems like a pretty nice advantage. And so you got to give them credit. Yeah, the AD and everybody, the president of the university there, all of them. I mean, they've been able to do things that nobody else has been able to do. And it's because I think, like you just said, because of the world, the global side of Notre Dame football. It's not just in the United States. It extends far further out. Matter of fact, I was out there in France, and I was right there at Notre Dame looking at that whole thing, and it's a special thing, and people are very, very they lean towards Notre Dame. There's no doubt. All right, next up we got Heisman. So I just got a quick question. I know you're not the biggest sports guy in the world, and I know you're not the biggest college football guy in the world, and I probably am a pretty big college football and NFL football guy, but I always want to see what sounds fair. So you probably, because of, you watch a little bit less than I do and everything else, I think you could be very fair on this. So who deserves the Heisman Trophy? So the number 1 candidate right now is a guy named Travis Hunter, plays at Colorado, plays both ways. I give him all the credit in the world for that. He plays cornerback on defense and he plays wide receiver on offense. He's got some nice numbers. He's got 850 yards, 9 touchdowns as a receiver. He's also got 21 tackles and a couple of interceptions. Those are good, but not great numbers. Those are good, but not great. And he does play more snaps than anybody in college football because he plays on both sides of the ball. But this kid, Ashton Gentry, all right, he's at Boise State. He is breaking just about every record rushing that anybody ever put up there. So 224 carries, 1,700 yards rushing the football. He's got 23 touchdowns. Now, Travis Hunter's got 9 touchdowns. This guy's got 23 touchdowns running the ball. He catches the ball pretty well. They don't throw him the ball that often. He's got 1 touchdown there. But this kid plays for Boise State, and he looks and runs like Barry Sanders. And I can tell you, as a guy who played in that era, and I had to play Detroit, and Barry Sanders was on the field, he might be the most intimidating running back you'd ever have to go up against, because Barry Sanders was fast. He was low to the ground. He was strong. His legs were like tree trunks. He was unbelievable balance like nobody I've ever seen. This kid's probably the closest thing to Barry I've seen since Barry Sanders, and I'm going back to the late 1980s to get this guy. So I think he's special, but given the numbers I gave you, and there's a lot said for a guy who goes both ways on the football field, though. That is special. Not too many people can do it because you're playing 85, 90 snaps in a game. I mean, that's incredible. What do you think? Who should win the Heisman?
Well, first of all, you're talking about a young guy who's breaking all kinds of records. I obviously innately want to lean towards that. But second of all, I know that you are an expert in this. You're literally a pro athlete. So I'm tending to lean towards who I think that you're leaning towards, because I trust your take on this. And so for that reason, I'd probably go with Ashton. He sounds like he deserves it.
I think it's tough not to go there. There's so many other names. There's betting lines on everything these days, right? And there's betting lines on the Heisman Trophy, who's going to win it, and all the rest of it. But there's some great people. Matter of fact, the quarterback at Oregon is unreal. But is it him or is it their whole team? I think it might be the whole team and him. But you never really know. But he's thrown a lot of yards. He's thrown for a lot of touchdowns. They're the number one team in the country, and he's a big reason why they are. But he gets a lot of help from an offensive line that's big, strong, and maybe the best in college football. Running backs, receivers. I mean, they've kind of got it all at Oregon this year. So that's why they're undefeated and they're number one. But yeah, Ashton Jeanty, I think that kid is pretty special. All right. Hey, Justin, I appreciate you taking the time. I love it. Rebels Edge appreciate you too. And we look forward to doing this next week. And if John is out, you are in, my friend.
That's amazing. I can't wait.